It's ranked number 9 worldwide in ease of doing business. It has been noted that it takes just 2 days to start and register a business in Australia, as opposed to some other countries, developing countries in particular, where it takes much longer because of bureaucratic processes. The legal strength index for getting credit in Australia is 9 out of 10, which is actually a pretty high number, so you can get credit quite easily, and this would be good because Zopa would possibly need some to start up in Australia. Deregulation has been one of the political themes that has characterized Australia since the 1970s, and this is because since then they have cut tariffs by 25%. They have introduced a floating currency and permitted the entry of foreign banks into the country. So since we're a financial firm, this is relevant as well. As far as the country risk tier, the CRT, Australia is ranked very low, 1 out of 5. And what the CRT looks at is economical, political, and financial system risk.
Talking more about the market attractiveness, we're going to talk about the competitive assessment in the Australian market for these financial products. Some of the local competitors are Lending Hub and iGrin. They're some of the first, ironically, on both of their websites. They claim that each of them are the first peer-to-peer lenders in the Australian market, but they're more of the local competitors. They have more limited financial tools and products that they offer. Lending Hub has significantly more customers than iGrin, and iGrin, as you can see, is pretty small. It only has about 200,000 Australian dollars that have been loaned out. Pyramid is another one, and Next as well. These are companies that are in development that haven't come to market yet, but will be competing in the region. Next will launch in New Zealand, but as being in close proximity, it probably will come into contention with Zopa at some point in Australia. Virgin Money is the global competitor that we're really facing, and as a huge business conglomerate, Virgin really has a lot of the tools that can allow it to compete in a more substantive way than some of the other local competitors can. And so we're very aware of their presence in the market. Traditional banks. As peer-to-peer lending becomes more and more popular, you can imagine that traditional banks are going to start wanting a piece of the action in that regard. They have 4 really well-established banks in Australia. Zopa's main advantage are the expertise in this field. It has already gone into 3 other markets and is about to go into Japan as well, so it has a lot of the experience and expertise that would really make it a strong player in the Australian market, not to mention any of what Dan was mentioning about the strong, sound economy and sophistication of Australia's economy. And has a user-friendly platform for lenders and borrowers. So,
okay, market entry strategy. One option is licensing. Under this strategy, Zopa will allow another Australian company to pay to use Zopa's product, brand name, etc. And licensee would make all capital investments and market the product for the Australian market. It's the first option we considered. Switch the slide. Reasons Zopa would consider licensing: if they lack the knowledge and time to be more engaged in marketing abroad, if the market was less attractive to compared to others, if it was too small to support a new operation, if Zopa lacked the sufficient capital, or if they wanted to avoid commercial and political risks involved with investing in fixed assets. Conclusion is that licensing is not an ideal entry method for Australia because it's actually a high growth market. There is room for new competitors. The risk of doing this are low. The risk that the licensee will not. There are also risks that the licensee will not perform well, and the Zopa branding could suffer, and risks that Zopa could create a new competitor. Franchising, this would be essentially the same thing as licensing, only for a longer period, more involved, and Zopa could possibly share methods of operation, more information with the licensee, and they would not bear development costs and risk establishing a presence in Australia alone. It's not a good fit for entering Australia for similar reasons as to licensing. Also, they don't have good quality control. It could also damage Zopa brand and image, and there's also risk of creating a new competitor, which is higher than licensing. A joint venture, reasons that Zopa could consider a joint venture is if the Austrian government required it. It would allow Zopa to share the risks that come with a new venture, and especially if a local firm has specific knowledge within the country that Zopa didn't have access to, then that would be a good thing. Now, there are a lot of drawbacks to a joint venture. Zopa risks giving control of its competitive advantage to its partner. Partner's not ideal. There's a lot of costly setbacks, conflict over strategic direction. There's divorce, which is not usually peaceful. And it wouldn't give Zopa tight control of this subsidiary that it might need. Now, Australia offers a favorable market entry process for this UK-based firm because English is the most used language, which cuts down on translation and miscommunication issues. And also, Australia was colonized by the British, so therefore there's a lot of cultural similarities there. And a joint venture is not ideal because it's unnecessarily complicating for Zopa. It may be less costly in the short run, but Zopa would have to share its profits. There's the risks that we talked about before. And joint venture really makes the most sense when the local firm has specific expertise that we wouldn't have access to, and this is not the case in Australia. Now, wholly owned subsidiary, that would give Zopa tight control over technology, competitive advantage, operations, and also Zopa would keep all its profits, and it would be able to keep its original business model intact, which is very important when they like to do that when entering new countries. They like to only adapt to the extent that they actually absolutely have to. Okay, well, we've already talked about this. High growth market, good availability of credit, and the regulatory market in Australia is very accommodating. Now, there's two types we could use to establish a subsidiary: is greenfield entry and also an acquisition, which is only really good if Zopa is attempting to break a saturated market, which is not the case in Australia. So you can switch slide. So Zopa should enter with a greenfield entry because there are low startup costs, cultural similarities, stuff I've talked about before, and the probability of success for Zopa with a greenfield entry is extremely high, and they outweigh the high costs and risk that Zopa would assume.
Okay, brand strategy. As we mentioned, we already have a very modern, sophisticated economy for us to enter into, and because of the financial crisis, our financial products would be more attractive to people looking for easier access to capital. We're going to continue marketing our brand as an alternative. It creates value for people looking to an alternative to traditional banking. Australia is a great market for Zopa's finance products, also because it has high GNP and high PCI, which means that there's a strong ability for potential customers to consume our products. As you can see, this indicates that it continues to go up over the past 5 years. It has had 15 years of uninterrupted growth in Australia. Again, our product service is peer-to-peer lending, and it's adapted to serve our Australian customers in accordance with Australian banking regulations. And that's the same price that Dan mentioned earlier, 0.5% transaction fee. And we're going to maintain our distribution channel through the internet, but we'll also have local headquarters to facilitate product promotion and other business operations in Australia. And John,
We're at 15 minutes now, so you're over time.